But Dr. Phil the other week was on JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience. I typically don't talk about Joe Rogan's podcast when I'm on here. I'd listen to it a lot. I probably listened to the majority of episodes. I hadn't started listening to him until last year, and it's definitely, I see why it's the best podcast in the world. The interviews he has on, some of the people he has on, authors, scientists, it's very compelling and very interesting. There's definitely some episodes I'm kind of like, not as interested, but there's a lot of amazing episodes. He had Dr. Phil on. I was just curious because, like, okay, Dr. Phil on a podcast. I think he has one, but I'm curious. I've only known Dr. Phil from the show. So he came on and they talked about a lot of different stuff. They talked about issues with the basically the country in the sense of education and depression and anxiety and people my age. And it's very interesting to listen to, and the stuff he talked about with like social media and people being on their phones. I fall into it a little bit, but not as badly as other people my age or older, or even kids younger than me. And I think the reason being was at a young age, I didn't have the internet. I didn't have smartphones. I didn't have, um, which, I mean, all that was coming out more as I was growing up, but I had a delayed ability and accessibility to all those things. Like, I think I said this on the podcast once, but I didn't have the internet, or I didn't have internet access that was actually good until I was maybe 13, and I was at one house at that point in time. So I was not available. I didn't, like, I had Xbox. I played COD. I could not play with people. I was used to playing on my own. I didn't have computers. I didn't have any of this as a kid. So I wasn't necessarily as in it. I downloaded Instagram late compared to a lot of people. I downloaded Snapchat very late compared to a lot of people. I was just never as on top of it. I never had Vine. I just never was a social media guy for the most part. I mean, I guess you consider YouTube social media. I was on that a lot, but it was different to me. So it didn't have quite the effect. My attention span is definitely not the greatest. I don't feel like anybody's can be nowadays, especially someone around my age. But I'm also a lot better than a lot of people my age, and that's true. I've been to lunch out with people my age and older, some almost 10 years older than me, and we'd be sitting there at lunch. And typically, when I'm with people and in certain situations, I stay off of my phone. If I'm on my own, or if there's certain situations where we're not like going out to eat, or I'm just kind of chilling by myself, yeah, well, I'd be on my phone most likely. I'll be watching a video, I'll be listening to podcasts, I'll be doing something. But when I'm with people and I'm out doing stuff, I hardly ever pull my phone out unless there's a reason. And I distinctly remember one time going out to eat with a bunch of people from work. And we went out to eat. We, I think, ordered, and we're just sitting there. You know, typically when you make small talk and chit chat and, I don't know, eat chips and salsa because we were at a Mexican restaurant. And all three of them, there's four of us, counting myself, were sitting there on their phones, scrolling TikTok, scrolling Instagram, whatever the fuck. And then I'm sitting there, my phone, I think either on the table or in my pocket, just kind of sitting there silently. No one's talking. And I'm just kind of like, what the fuck? I was like, why? I've never understood it, especially when you're in a social situation like that. To me, I find it very rude. And it's just kind of like we gotta be able to talk about other shit. And it's also like when I'm out with people, I want to be in the moment. It's like, yeah, there are times I probably let time fly by and I waste it watching shit. Yeah, most likely. But when I'm with people, it's different because that gives me a reason to be in the moment. Because it's like, what the fuck's going on? What are we gonna talk about? Shit like that. But some people just don't get it. And then let alone the anxiety and depression that social media has caused. I think I dealt with that, and I think more recently than I had in the past. Probably from it wasn't even depression, but like seeing weightlifters and shit on Instagram, or seeing posts from other people's Instagrams growing up in high school where people are on vacation or going to the beach, hanging out with friends, doing all this extra bullshit. One, I was never one to necessarily post my life that much. One, because I was ashamed of the way I looked at the time, so I didn't want to post pictures of myself. And then not only that, but I if I took pictures, I'd rather just hold on to it. I couldn't be bothered to make a post half the time. It's like, like I got pictures. That's all that matters. I'm not gonna like make a photo dump and throw it on Instagram. It's like I have them. That's all that matters. I don't gotta show everybody what I'm doing. And I know for most people that's hard to believe, and especially since I want to kind of work and do shit with social media, it's kind of crazy I think that way. But it's just it. I think that is what made me, I guess, sad and possibly depressed in high school. With some of it was because I had friends in high school that I hung out with quite a lot. I didn't necessarily go out. I've never been one to go out and do shit. Not necessarily because I haven't wanted to. There's definitely times I like sticking to myself and doing my own thing. But I just don't go out much, and I never have. And part of it is, especially in high school and in school, was I lived 20 minutes outside of town. Most of my friends lived in town. All of my friends lived in town. So it's like those guys might hang out, but I was always kind of the outcast like geologically? No. Whatever. Like just naturally. And then not only that, I was overweight, I was fat, I was awkward, I was kind of nerdy. Uh my face did not mature for a long time. I mean, when I was 14, I looked like I was 9. And so I would just kind of, I didn't hang out with a lot of people. I didn't have a lot of friends. And so when I did see people on Instagram post group photos and activities and people going and doing stuff, part of it was like, man, I don't do that. I don't have a nice car. I don't, my parents don't have as much money to allow this. I don't go on vacation. I've been on basically 3 vacations total that I consider my life. One was with family. 2 of them were me, and it was going out to Oregon the past 2 years. And other than that, I haven't really had vacations. So seeing that was definitely one thing that, and I think that is the thing that causes depression on social media, is seeing the good points in everybody's lives. I didn't realize that at the time. It wasn't until later where I developed more and learned where it's like that is the whole point of social media, especially Instagram. It's like everything everybody's posting on Instagram, they're not going to post shit and take pictures and add posts of shit when they're sad or their life sucks and all this stuff. They're only going to post shit that's cool, the crazy stuff they're doing, all the fun shit when they're actually doing stuff and look happy and look like their life's great. So that's something I didn't realize at the time that definitely caused me issues, but it definitely could have had a worse effect on me, and it just sucks. And that was one thing that like Dr. Phil and them were talking about, was shit like that and kids my age, and just how a lot of stuff's changed.